Okay.
Hello, I'm Lillian.
I'm Kaylee.
I'm Ashley.
My name is Sylvia.
And you guys are producers for an animated studio for our little project called Paradox 6.
So we were working within some genres, science fiction, dystopian, and action/spy. We liked all of these and kind of combined them in our story.
Yeah, and our theme is including AI, technological advancement, social isolation, connection, and also power and corruption.
To give you a short summary of our story, I'd like to introduce our log line. In a 21st century city where AI technology powers monopolies and a corrupt government, a lonely girl becomes a spy for a bitter businessman wanting to tear down his rivals, seeking to expose the truth about the misuse of AI and hold those responsible accountable. So then we've got our story synopsis. Part 1, world building details and setting.
Here's a map of our city. It's called Delvina City. As you can see, it has some really, really tall buildings, and that allows the city to be separated into 3 different levels. The top level has the people who are the most well-off, who get to be closest to the sky, and as you go down in socioeconomic status. As you can see in the middle, there's an orange wall that prevents people from the lowest level from coming up, and there are many different big companies and some government buildings that you can see as well.
So that wall Lillian just described, the barrier, is maintained by this Enterprise Enforcement Agency, which is basically a corrupt security agency that does the dirty work of both the government and tech companies, because those two are kind of intermixed in our world. And they use weaponized androids and a mix of human police officers. So this is a world scene of you can see the EEA androids here stopping a lower city citizen who doesn't have registration from crossing over. So they maintain that socioeconomic divide.
So this is a cerulean tower. You could treat it like a city hall, here and there. But like the higher up your offices, the more power you have, which means the city leaders, and when you city leaders, their office and facilities would be at the very top of the tower.
Next, we have another very important technology company in our city called Neuronet. Neuronet basically has been creating AI software. They've been training their algorithms to make them smarter and smarter so that they can be released and connect people with new devices.
And our another really important company is called Axion Echelon, and it is the company who creates the hardware of the AI stuff, and then like it also produced the spinal implant, which is called the Sixth Sense, and it's play a huge role in our story.
So to clarify, Neuronet makes the software, Axion Echelon makes the hardware. Then we've got some characters.
Woo! This is our first character, Ruby, the protagonist. She's a young person living in the city with her parents who work for Neuronet. As you can see, she's in a wheelchair. That's because she has scoliosis in her spine, which means she's got a curve to her spine, makes it difficult for her to walk and get around. And it also prevents her from getting the Sixth Sense implant, which is very important to our story because it causes her to have a very outside perspective on the Sixth Sense and how it has connected everybody, but also isolated everybody from each other in this society.
And the next one is Alvio Lucet. He is 27 years old. He is the CEO and the creator of Axion Echelon. And he also kind of like created this like spinal implant, and he's really emotionally isolated because of his like childish trauma, and helped Ruby for his own favorite.
This is Mr. Gray, no first name because I forgot. He used to work for EEA, and currently he is Alzir's secretary, and occasionally he nudges him in the right direction as a moral compass and helps him connect again with humanity and gain something called empathy.
Then we've got C26 and Agnes Volkov. So Volkov is our antagonist. She is the chief of the EEA, that corrupt private security agency that uses the weaponized androids. So she's very ambitious and power hungry because she came to Delvina City as a young immigrant and felt quite powerless. And now she fears change, does whatever is necessary to hold on to her power, and is quite dangerous. So, second character here, C26, is an android with a powerful artificial intelligence. She was repurposed from being a research assistant by Volkov to now working as a weapon for the EEA. And she's struggling with regaining like a sense of morality, of what is humanity, what does that mean, what is her purpose in life. And she's trying to connect, especially with Ruby the protagonist, to show Ruby that maybe it's not the technology and the AI that is evil and causes this social isolation. Maybe it's the corrupt humans that are driving that.
And these are Castor and Pollux. They are the leader of the entire city, but they are more like the public figure, but not like really who's owning the power. And they eventually met with the characters, and yeah, that's how we do.
Structure.
Alright, so our story starts off with Ruby, and we kind of get an insight into how lonely and isolated her life is as everyone around her gets the neuronet implants, or the axion echelon implants. And then one fateful day, Ruby comes and gets an offer from Alzir. He offers to give her a special spinal implant that'll fit her, and she refuses. She refuses because she hates the AI and what it's doing to people. And Alzir feels a connection to that sentiment because he also has gripes with Neuronet, his business partner. And so Alzir recruits Ruby and tells her to go with Mr. Gray, the secretary, to go spy on Neuronet and uncover their connections to the government and the way that they're misusing the AI.
So they go to Neuronet, they spy, and because of that, she
Volkov.
I'm feeling dreams, but Volkov, she caught wind of this and sent C26 to Neuronet to find out the real reason why Mr. Gray and Ruby were there in the first place. And through their spying, the three of them start to like genuinely bond with each other. And through that genuine bonding, C26 decides to join them and gather evidence to expose the government of their wrongdoing. And after the evidence that they gather, they would send it to Castor and Pollux because they're part of the higher-ups in the Cerulean Tower. And since they didn't have access in the beginning, they decided the next best option was to break in to give them the evidence.
And once they break in, they got caught. So that they managed to meet with Castor and Pollux and basically share all the evidence that they have that it's about like these corruptions in power with EEA and other like tech companies. And then later on that they kind of figure out, or like they didn't know, that Volkov is watching the entire thing through C26.
Alright, then we come to the climax of Act 3, where essentially we've got Ruby and Alzir in that top tower trying to come up with a plan to stop Volkov, who's decided to attack the city now because she feels threatened. There's evidence coming out of her corruption. And so we've got Alzir and Ruby making a plan to upload C26's consciousness into those weaponized androids that Volkov is directing to attack the city. Meanwhile, we have Castor and Pollux making a broadcast. They've gone to go tell their citizens, hey, your government is corrupt. Hey, the EEA is now attacking the city. It's dangerous for you. You need to hide. So here we've got Alzir and Ruby, a nice storyboard by Sylvia. Alzir and Ruby creating this plan here, and then as Volkov is attacking the city, then they finally get it together. And this is C26 here, plugged in with wires and whatnot. And they hit that button on initiate the upload of C26's consciousness. Because the hope is that C26 at this point has made friends, redeveloped her humanity and purpose in life. If you can transfer that, those good morals into the EEA androids, the hope is that they'll stop attacking the city. So we leave off on them hitting that initiation button and hoping it's enough to stop Volkov. Conclusion and takeaways. I think we'd like the viewer to take away from this that sometimes it's, rather than focusing blame on new developments or scary changes or new technologies, like in our current world it's AI, focus on what you can change about yourself as a human or how you can adapt to or embrace something to become stronger.
Yes, so some collective reflection. The first thing, why this story was important to me and why I was passionate about it was because I similarly have worries about new technologies and things like phones isolating us. And I think it was really interesting to sort of exaggerate that a ton in this story and to see where that could go, the sort of battle that people would have to fight.
Some memorable moments, I'd say it was probably for all of us, we started getting really excited about the project when we had an assignment where everyone was supposed to go make a character. We decided, since we all share a love of art, to each draw our characters. And for me, when we came together, we all shared our drawings of our characters and some other sketches and stuff. That was when I was really like, wow, this is gonna be cool.
We got some inspiration from Sylvia's research essay because hers was about how AI art was bad. Something, something, something. I don't remember the whole thing. So something, something, something. And personally, I took more inspiration from comic books because I think I read too much. But I got some stuff from Gotham City, X-Men, some things from Marvel. Well, X-Men, Marvel, something like this. And then we got some things from like TV shows like Arcane. I got some things from like Neuromancer, the book. And earlier we did get some things from Wizard of Oz.
Real life stuff too, like we've had tech companies steal data, we've had big presidents and stuff, corruption, yeah.
Yeah, and also I think it's really, really close to our current society because like first we have these kind of like, you know, AI and also like cell phones that we kind of just like became like isolated in a way that it's, you know, everyone kind of like own their own sense of world, I guess. And I think it's that what we really want to emphasize is the like irreplaceable value of humanity and the creativity that we hold as human. That's really, really drawing difference between us as like human and other technology. And I think that like in the end, we have to like embrace this new technology like AI. And then like the issue behind there, it's not this technology itself, but like how and why we are using it.
Thank you, Q&A.
Where do we begin? So much to talk about.
Oh, what do the you mentioned the neural spines? What do they do?
Like it's basically like cell phones, and then but it's kind of like all you have that you can have like as like cell phone is like included in there, and it also has like this like biotechnology, and
It could maybe do some like mental projection where you're like in a VR space, you could talk to people.
It's literally connected to your central nervous system, so you could be doing things while you're asleep. You can very easily think a thought, have it done. So it's a super hyper efficient version that's like really connected to you of a cell phone.
yeah, and also like you know because of that it's connected to your spine, and then like all these like nervous systems. It also helps like medically for somehow that like control maybe like your like insomnia or something like with that kind of issue.
If you're using it while you're asleep, does it like drain your energy or something?
I'm gonna say no. The hope is we're pretty far in the future. We chose a year. I don't remember what.
90. We should
But
90
I think the idea would be that if this is widespread use, there's gonna be no, you know, risk of that. It'll be streamlined.
So do people just like text each other with their brains instead of like face-to-face talking?
Yup.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but with it, would you have like a UI or something? It's just by water level and like things like that. Would you just get like the?
I don't
If you
know.
want to imagine it that way, go ahead.
This is more of a comment, but I remember last year for my documentary unit, the woman I was interviewing was actually making this sounds bad, but a chip that goes in your arm that monitors things like blood sugar levels, which sounds similar to what you were mentioning medically.
Yeah. So like basically all the data that you have like in your body, it's like it said it's secured, but like it actually like is in like the company's like database basically. Yeah.
And the companies are connected to the government.
Yes. Yeah.
So would this be a movie, a show?
Animated music video.
Example, Alien Studio.
Yeah, can you explain the music video?
That is mostly, I think a lot of us, we would like watch these animated music videos on YouTube. I feel like it's a relatively short type of medium, which is for me, Lillian, animation students, and Kaylee and Sylvia, artists, that felt, I think, a little more like you could see the project taking shape as a 2-minute animated music video versus a full film.
I feel like also like it like gives this story that is like, you know, it's not like a whole story that have every single detail. So it leaves like some like open space for like imagination and draws more. Yeah.
Eli.
Why do the robot police have tails?
That's a good question,
I like anthropomorphic stuff. I thought they'd be like useful for, fashion.
Oh yeah, you said you would treat it like a peacock's tail, like that.
No, it's another limb, so why not?
Grabbing people.
Just curious about a certain platform. You mentioned that sort of the government is in the pocket of all these big companies. I suppose, what interest do Castor and Pollux have as the figureheads of the city in trying to stop Volkov rampage, considering that Volkov is the head of the...
I think part of the thing is that Castor and Pollux are very young.
Yes.
So they sort of just inherited this position. I'm not sure if there's some sort of monarchs or regents or whatever you call it, but I think we're assuming that the people who came before them were a lot more corrupt and a lot more classist and created this society that is very classist and got the tech companies involved.
Yes.
And then when Castor and Pollux inherited that, they didn't really understand the inner workings of the government and the way that all the tech companies were involved and whatnot. They were just sort of coasting, and they didn't realize how bad things were until it was brought to their attention by our group of heroes.
And I think like another thing is because that like they are more like just like public figures that, because they are young, and then like the government wants to use their face to kind of like do like broadcast and stuff that like basically gains more, public trust and something like that. But like there one thing that like the government also doesn't know is that they are secretly helping like lower cities, and then they saw this like social isolation and then the hierarchy inequality in like this whole city, and they wish to like change that.
Any other questions?
Angel.
Why what's stopping the character with scoliosis from like tapping into those advanced technologies to get stuff like, I don't know, like surgery correct?
Yeah, I was saying that her parents are kind of like anti-vaxxers. They don't really...
That's crazy!
Bring them back.
They don't want her to... I don't know. They don't want her to get fixed up for some reason.
I think that doesn't have an established reason yet, but there could be a lot of them. It could be there's some risk because of her scoliosis, because your spine's still pretty delicate, of doing like the surgery. It could be that parents work at NeuroNet, Axion Echelon is the rival that makes the spinal technology. They're worried about something with that. So, I don't know. That remains to be seen.
That's awful.
Any other questions?
Okay, thanks so much. Oh, sorry, we have more.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask, like, how much can you cram into one music video, or are you gonna make like a series?
You might have
As
to make
much as we
multiple.
can.
Maybe it'll become more.
Will we see this as a Zenith project?
No.
No, never.
No, thank you.
I'm not torturing myself.
We haven't
that
had a
way.
good music
Not
video
doing that.
we had one last year, but we should bring that back. We used to have a music video project at Freestyle, way back in the day. I would love to see a music video, especially with something so quirky and complex as this. I think it would be really cool.
That would
So
be
think
really
about it.
fantastic.
You don't have to decide right now. Thanks so much.